All right, let's look at how you use this sedimentary rock chart. So in terms of sedimentary rocks, we can break them down into two groups to start with. Rocks that generally do not react with the acid and rocks that usually do react with the acid. And you should have an acid bottle in your kit, or it should be in the room somewhere. So if it doesn't react with acid, that doesn't mean it's not going to react with the acid. Sadly, sometimes these rocks can have a little bit of calcite cement that may react, so you have to be careful when you're doing that acid test. But generally, these ones will not react to the acid. And so the other thing you can look at then is whether or not they scratch glass. So if you have a glass plate, you can try to see if they'll scratch the glass. Typically, if they scratch the glass, that means they've got some hard mineral in there, usually quartz, and that can help narrow it down. So what you're doing is you're going to test it with acid first, then maybe you'll do the scratch test, and then you're going to look at the texture of it. And for these rocks up here, it's generally a grain size thing. So breccias and conglomerates will be the largest size grains, and then you go down to sandstone, siltstone, shale, and so on. And you can read these different descriptions here, and that can help you to um, narrow that down. And there's other things over here where you can look at the grain size as well. A few other ones here. Coal will be fairly obvious, I think. Black, lightweight, smudgy, shiny. And then there's things like rock salt, rock gypsum, which are chemical sediments. They don't really correspond to different grain sizes necessarily, but they have their own little characteristics there. Now, if it does react with the acid, then it's probably some sort of limestone. And there are a whole bunch of different types of limestone here, and their descriptions are right over here. You're going to be looking for things like fossils. You're going to be looking for how good the reaction is. If it is a pretty poor reaction, or it has to be powdered to react, it's probably some sort of dolomitic limestone. But all of these up here should react fairly strongly. All right, and these are also generally softer than the glass, although I should say that occasionally you might have an impure limestone that might have a little bit of quartz sand in it. And over time, as these samples get used, the softer calcite gets worn away on the corners, and the little bits of quartz can stick out, and then it may actually scratch the glass even though it shouldn't scratch the glass. So you're just trying to narrow it down and figure out which type of rock it is, and pretty straightforward.